Hey there, Pam. How's it going today for you?
Pretty good. How's your day going?
Yeah, my day is going good. I am like the summer is completely flying by and I'm just trying to like soak every little bit out of it.
Yes. And you're supposed to have started celebrating something about a week ago. I hope that you have been.
Yes, Pam texted me, dear listener, Pam texted me and said she was the first one to text me and say, "Are you celebrating your birthday yet?" Because my birthday's coming up tomorrow, actually. And I hadn't thought about my birthday at all. And I texted you back and I said something like, "You know what? You're right. I should." So I haven't been leading up to it, but I've been planning for tomorrow. So I am excited about the actual day. I don't know if ever told you this, but I have this thing about actually the day before your birthday being a much more important day. Have I told you about this before?
You haven't, but I can guess
Yeah,
why.
so it is the last day that you'll ever be. You have 365 days to be the age you
Ah,
turn. You have one last day to be that age. So I've always told the kids, like this is the big day, like the day before your birthday. You will never ever be that age again. So
okay.
do something just it's not like you have to like have throw yourself a big party, but do something special that just makes you feel good the day before because you'll never be that age ever again.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
that's kind of how I feel about today, the day before my birthday.
Oh, I love that. I haven't heard that. I was thinking it's because like when you're pregnant and you're about to have the baby, the night before is always so like, oh, it's my birthday. Am I
Right,
gonna,
right.
when's the baby gonna be born?
Yeah.
That's really cool though. You do that. And you know, when you turn 50, you can celebrate the week before and the week after.
Oh, yeah. And I did it up when I turned 50 for sure.
And then when you're in, well, all three, the whole decade. And then when you
Oh,
get into
okay.
your 60s, it's a month before and a month after.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just
I
made that
don't have
up.
this knowledge. I didn't know that.
I don't know. I just made it up
Oh,
because
okay.
I think it should be that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to be doing that when you turn 60 because it's coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a couple years, but you're getting there.
I'm getting there for
Yeah.
sure. I definitely round up to 60. So,
Do you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't round down to 50 at this point, but like you and I were just talking before we hit record, and we can't even remember how old we are. So I'm like, how old am I? I just sometimes I have to think about it. And my husband
yeah.
too. I'll forget how old he is too.
Yeah, well, I think he's my age.
He is. You guys are the same age. You were
I
born
think
in
we
the
were both
same
born in
year.
67. Yeah.
Oh, he was born in 66.
Oh,
So
66. Okay.
so
Okay.
close. Very
Okay.
close. Yeah, I always think of you guys as the same age, but I guess maybe just a year apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anywho, I love our topic today. And so you have a couple jobs today because this was my topic. So I'm going to run with it. But I could geek out like all day long on anything health related. And so today we're talking about crazy, cool, unconventional health builders that you've probably never heard of.
Okay.
So you just reel me in if I get a little bit too crazy because
Okay.
this is my happy place. I could go on and on
Okay.
about this.
All
So
right.
yeah, so reel me in if you're like, that's enough about that one. But that's what we're talking about. So I'm gonna be interested to see, number one, do I stump you with these or have you actually heard of these before? Because in my population, there are some people who have heard of these things, but like I mean like in the general, like normal people, like have they heard about these? I don't know. That's why I'm gonna be interested to know if you're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Very
And
intrigued.
what's that?
I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And then after I talk about each of them, I would love to hear what your opinion is. Is that like, because they're kind of out there. So is it crazy, weird? Is it cool? Is it something
Okay.
maybe you've tried or would you try? So I like, what questions do you have about it? So I'm definitely interested, like everyone that we talk about, let's get your opinion and see what you
Okay.
think of these. So that's kind of where I hope you'll go. I've got
I love your
five
thoughts.
categories. Do you want me to tell you the categories before we start?
No, just jump in.
Okay, just jump in. Okay. All right. So this is crazy cool health builders that you've probably never heard of. And so the question probably is like, why are we talking about this on the Loneliness Project? But I tailored everything to women over 50. So these
Okay.
are things that women over 50 should be thinking about using because uh, you'll see by category, but you're at a particular stage in your life where these things would really be beneficial for you. So, and by doing that, you're just going to feel better. So anyway, so that's how it pertains to our audience. And I think that I've heard, I don't know if you've heard from other listeners, but I've heard that people are, maybe it's me because people come to me with this kind of thing, but like, would you talk more about supplements? Would you talk more about what I should be eating? So this kind of is why I thought this would be a good topic for today
Okay.
because people keep
Okay.
coming to me saying, could you talk more about, this fad or this wellness thought? So that's kind of what
Okay.
brought this one to
Oh,
mind.
that's cool. Okay. Yay. I can't wait.
All right, so I'm just going to dive in. So the first category is fatigue and energy. And that's something that we as ladies over 50 are dealing with all the time. Like, how can we have enough energy? And
Hmm.
what can we do about the fatigue that we already have? So
Hmm.
the first crazy, cool health builder that I'm guessing most people have not heard of is called methylene blue. So methylene blue.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to start this one because this particular compound is all about mitochondria. And so we have to start with a quick lesson on mitochondria and how just the absolutely amazing role that they have in your body. So, just to make sure everybody's on the same page, let's talk about mitochondria. So, mitochondria are in every cell in your body. Well, I should say almost. Not quite every cell, but almost every cell in your body. It's basically the powerhouse, the energy of the cell. So all those cells, they all have a mitochondria. I'm taking you back to like your biology class.
Yeah.
And they produce energy from ATP. And so as we age, our cells, and particularly the mitochondria, they don't function as well as they used to. So maybe you have a lot of chronic stress in your life, or you have the buildup of toxins, which we all do as we age, or maybe you've had a chronic illness, or you have some long-term inflammation, hormonal changes. So that will impact all of us because any woman that is over 50 is starting to have hormonal changes, whether it's perimenopause or menopause. And so, with all of these things comes this decreased use of your mitochondria in your cells. It just doesn't function the way it used to. And so, that can lead to chronic fatigue and low energy and muscle weakness and even neurological diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So the bottom line is like, here's how I think of your mitochondria. I think of it like a battery. It's like the battery of your cell. And so when a battery is fully powered, then you have energy, right? Whatever product you're using, it works really well. But when that battery gets low, now you're not working so well. So that's kind of how I think of mitochondria. And that's why you have to know this to know what methylene blue is, because methylene blue is all about an optimal use of your mitochondria.
Okay.
Okay, so have you heard of methylene blue before?
I have not heard of it, but yes. No, I'm
Okay,
not.
so then let's talk about what it actually is and what it could actually do for your
Okay.
energy. Because that, I mean, yes, at the cellular level, it's helping your mitochondria, but what can it actually do for you? So it's a synthetic compound. It's actually been around since the 1800s, if you can believe it. It's been around for a long time. And at that time, it was used because it's blue, methylene blue. It was used to dye things, and it was also
I
used. Oh, what were you?
you yes, I know this now. I listened to a podcast about this. Oh yes, good.
Okay,
Ding ding
cool.
ding.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Yeah, because
now
it
I know.
actually
Yes,
is
yes.
blue. And
Vitamin
then
P.
also
Yes, yes, yes.
it was used as an anti-malaria drug way back in the
Okay.
day when malaria was big. So,
Okay.
um, so yeah, so that's what it was used for. But now it's used for mitochondria boosting, and also because when you have healthy cells, you can live longer. It's kind of thought of as a anti-aging and a longevity agent as well. And so what it does is it helps to bring oxygen to your cells, right? So that that helps the mitochondria function better. It gets rid of any kind of free radicals that are in your cells. And then it also has a positive effect on your brain. So it helps with your neurological development so that you don't contract things like, well, you wouldn't contract, but as you're getting older, as aging is happening, so that you don't get things like neurological disorders, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, dementia, and things like that. So that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing that this methylene blue can do. It gets right into the heart of your cells and increases oxygenation so that you have healthy cells, which equals more energy and less fatigue. And there's actually the thing that is really important to me about everything we're talking about today is that there's science behind it because I I can't claim anything unless there's I'm a big research geek. So there is actually scientific evidence to talk about like multiple studies that look at methylene blue and talk about how it can really help your health at the cellular level. And so there have been studies that have shown, like there's a 2021 study from Cells, that's a scientific journal called Cells, that showed that it helps with energy production, helps clear out old dysfunctional cells, helps increase collagen production in the skin. So it's being used right now, novelly as a fatigue and energy booster. But then there's the latest research is actually looking at it in terms of how can it impact your skin in a positive way too, because of the increase in collagen production. So that's pretty cool, right?
Very cool. The
Yeah.
new miracle.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe, I don't, if you're struggling
Hmm.
with energy, if you're struggling with fatigue, that kind of thing, if
Hmm.
you want, if you know, maybe you've had testing and you know that your cells are just not working at their max level, then this
Hmm.
could be something for you. But
Hmm.
this is not the kind of thing you're going to find on Amazon. In fact, the methylene blue that's on Amazon, it's not for human consumption. So I just want to put that out there that this is the kind of thing you would get like online wellness, like maybe iHerb or Pure Formulas or direct from a company, so that you make sure you get a really good product. So I just want to put that out there. And then I also want to say, in case anybody's thinking about this one, that there are some contraindications. So if you take antidepressants, there can be some long-term use issues. So you don't, if you do take antidepressants, this is not the one for you. Here's my, I have like a bottom line takeaway on all of these. Here's my takeaway on this one. I'm not really an early adopter when it comes to new supplements and new protocols and new methods of doing things. I want to see the long-term research and I want to see anecdotal studies. And so that's kind of where I'm at on methylene blue. I think it's pretty new for what it's being used for. And I want to see more. So I think it definitely has promise, but I'm not running out and buying it yet, even if I feel fatigued. So that's kind of how I feel. What do you think when you hear about it? Is fatigue and energy something that's like a big thing for you or not so much?
It definitely is. But I've tried vitamin D, my ferritin, I had all my blood work done and my ferritin was low. And so I'm on iron protein for that, which is helping me with my fatigue and energy. But I know when it comes to energy, Karen, there's so many, variables. And so I can see how somebody who's tried all the current things and nothing's working, it seems like this would be like something worth giving it a shot, right?
Yeah, for sure talking to your doctor, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
they would know how does it interact with other things that you might be taking. And so that's really important that I probably should have said this at the top, but like I did say, I'm coming at this as like an avid researcher and a wellness professional, but I'm not a doctor. So all of these things that we're talking about today, you want to check with your doctor about first because I don't know what condition you have. I don't know what other
Yeah.
medications you're taking. And some of these, there can be contraindications. And if there are, I definitely will try to point them out so that there's like a little ding, ding, ding. That
Mm-hmm.
one's not for me. But just know that, yeah, you definitely want to check with your provider and just make sure that it's something that's, that you should be taking.
There's definitely a lot of discussions about mitochondria and its impact on our bodies in our
Huge.
age group too.
It's
So
huge. Like
it
I
really
just don't think
is.
that people really think about the function and how important it is for your energy. If your mitochondria are working at like that low battery level,
Hmm.
you are just not going to have energy. So if you're thinking I've tried everything, and if you go and you get your blood work done and you see that your hemoglobin is low and your iron saturation is low, your ferritin is low, then you know what to do about it. But let's say you're
Yeah.
fatigued and you go to get your lab work done, your annual lab work, and everything looks good, but you're still super tired. That this is
Yeah.
the kind of thing that you might want to look into because they're probably not looking at you at the cellular level, you know?
Yeah, I know. And I definitely want to learn more about that because it makes me think like which blood test could be. I mean, I like how what you're saying is you can go by that's the tricky thing with blood work, right? Is you go get usually you go to the doctor to get blood work or to find out because there's something wrong with you, right? And
Right.
if it's fatigue and tiredness, they're gonna just throw prescriptions at you and things like that. But they're also gonna do blood work and I think that um, a lot of cases, to me, it seems like our symptoms are way more important than blood work. But I guess together, they tell a
Yeah.
story.
You
So,
have to look at the full picture. And then sometimes
mhm.
you look at, I think the doctor will look at the symptoms and they'll look at the blood work and they'll say, well, actually, I need more information. And that's where you might get into specialized testing or you might go for a procedure. Even that sometimes isn't enough, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about the methylene blue and the thing about all supplements, Karen, that I always get a little hesitant is how long do I have to be on these supplements for? Like, is this
Yeah.
something that for the rest of my life I'm going to be on? Because it could be a huge expense.
Sure.
Um, and so I always get very, with any kind of supplement I start, I always get really hesitant to start it because I'm like, I just don't know, you
Yeah,
know?
that's such a good
So
point. It's such a good
yeah,
point. I always tell my clients when we talk about gut supplements is that we only stay on them as long as we need to, and when we feel better, then we take a break and then we see, did
right.
does my body go back to revert back to? Okay, well then maybe
Yeah,
that's something that I need more long term. Like for me, I'm always going to take a probiotic. It's just always going to be
yeah.
in my life. The type that I take is going to change. The
Hmm.
brand is going to change periodically, but I'm always going to take a probiotic or vitamin D. That's something I'm always going to take. But most
Yes.
everything else, it's going to be rotated in. It's like, okay, let me do this for a little while and then I'm going to take
Yeah.
a break from it. Like, my
Yeah.
goal is never to have people on things long term.
I agree with that. I think that's really smart. And
If you can, right? Sometimes you have to be on
yeah,
things long term.
sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice if if it could be like a battery where you just get your battery recharged and then it's good for a while and then you start getting those symptoms again. It's like, oh, better start that again.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. And I like
go,
when you're talking about the expense as well, because a lot of these things are not covered by your insurance. They are
they're
over
not.
the counter and they're not even on a prescription. And so if you're on a lot of these things, then that can add up.
And I'm on like iron and protein as I mentioned for my low ferritin, but I'm starting to feel better on it. And so what I think I'm going to do is start spreading, like going to every other day and seeing if I can handle that.
I love
Just until
that.
I go back and get my blood work checked. But if I'm going on symptoms alone, I'm like, maybe I just needed to get my numbers up and
Hmm.
I'm feeling better. And so I think a lot of supplements, as you said, you could be like that, where you
Oh,
play around
yeah.
a little bit with advice from a professional of
Yeah,
some
exactly.
kind. So
Exactly. Yeah. Let me tell you about another one under the category of fatigue and energy because I think this is so cool. Okay, so this
yeah,
is beetroot crystals and nitric oxide lozenges. Have you heard of these before?
I've not heard of those. No.
Okay, so we have to do a really quick lesson in nitric oxide because
Okay.
just in case people don't know what that is. So it's a gas and it acts as a signaling molecule in your body, and the biggest role is in vasodilation.
Okay.
So it widens your blood vessels. And when we have better oxygenation to our blood cells, now we have vasodilation. So it can make the blood cells wider, it can help your circulation, it can help you lower your blood pressure. This is all good. So we're talking about things at the cellular level. It's
Hmm.
also important, nitric oxide, for those mitochondria because it improves the oxygenation of them. It also improves, because it's an oxygen boosting compound, it will also improve your brain health. And this might be of interest to some people listening, your sexual health as well, because oxygenation is important for a healthy sexual relationship. So this is important for like so many different areas in your life, having oxygen.
Hmm.
So this is a stat that I found really, really cool. Nitric oxide is not something that we talk about a lot, right? Like there may be some compounds in your body that you talk about, but nitric oxide is not one of them. But here, listen to this. After 50, nitric oxide production reduces by 50% in our body. So our ability to oxygenate reduces by 50%, and that's especially after menopause. So you and I are both at that place, and a lot of our listeners are at that place too, where we're not producing enough nitric oxide in your body. And so the way that that might show up for you is that you may have fatigue, lack energy, you might have high blood pressure, you might have heart issues, poor sexual function. And then because it has to do with oxygen, if you're exercising, if you ever kind of feel like I'm so out of breath and I'm more out of breath than I really should be, that could be a reduced supply of nitric oxide as well. So that's a little lesson in what nitric oxide is.
Okay.
So now how would these beetroot crystals, how would they help that? So beetroot crystals are a food-based nitric oxide helper. So this is them getting it in a much more natural way. It might not be as effective as if you actually took nitric oxide lozenges, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But the beetroot crystals, it literally comes from beets. It's just like powdered
Oh.
beets, but it's a great way to get your nitric oxide because they're really high in nitrates.
Hmm.
So you may hear that word nitrates and you might think, oh, bad, right? Like, I don't know about you, but a lot of people in the health and wellness space are always talking about how nitrates and nitrites are bad for you. Like they're
Hmm.
talking about lunch meat and hot
Right.
dogs and processed food. Have you heard that?
Yeah, yeah. They use it in marketing and advertising. No nitrates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Hmm.
exactly. It'll be like, no nitrates, no nit. Okay,
Hmm.
this is different. So this is different. That's synthetic
Hmm.
nitrates and nitrates and nitrites. But
Hmm.
this is actually naturally occurring nitrates that are found in vegetable sources, so plant-based sources. So they are in
Okay.
things like your beet and arugula. What else are they in? Any like lots of vegetables have these in them. So this is a naturally occurring um, compound, and this is something that you actually want. So don't think about like, oh, I don't want those. This is actually something that's good for you.
Okay.
So this beetroot powder, it's been used for a long time and it's really popular with athletes because they use it to increase the oxygenation to give them stamina when they're working out. But it's late, the novelty of it, the newness of it is that it's now being researched in older women, older men, especially postmenopausal women.
Hmm.
So that's why it's something to really think about because you can get the nitric oxide from the beetroot crystals. So, and that's a natural way. Now,
Yeah.
another way to get it is to do nitric oxide lozenges. So those are sold as well. Now, that is not the most natural approach to get it, but it's faster, more direct. So if you really feel like your oxygenation is like, your oxygen saturation is low, if you feel like you just don't have energy to do the things I talked about earlier, then maybe the lozenges would be better for you. And this is what's being studied right now in postmenopausal women. I think
Okay.
something that's really cool about this nitric oxide is that it gets absorbed in the mucosal lining and like it goes through gut bacteria and oral bacteria. So that's why you might be like, why is it in a lozenge? That's why they make it in a lozenge because you can absorb it through the gut bacteria in your cheek. So isn't
Oh,
that kind of
yeah.
cool?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
can you get that on Amazon?
You can get this one on Amazon.
Okay.
I never like to buy supplements on Amazon because I don't know about their expiration date. I don't know about the seller. I like to get it from sites that
Reputable.
have third-party testing,
Okay.
that are pharmaceutical grade. Like I just like I try not to buy my supplements on Amazon as much as I can, but I do have a couple brand recommendations for this. So for the nitric oxide, if you want that, the lozenge, there's a company called Human, and that's the name of the company, and their product of nitric oxide is Neo 40. So that's, I know, a really good one because it's made with all clean ingredients. And then the beetroot crystals, this company that I love is called Floridix. They make all kinds of supplements. In fact, they make the iron supplement that I take, and they are organic, high quality, no additives, preservatives, all of that. And that's Floridix that makes that one. So you can, choose if you want to get a more natural approach to it, but maybe less absorption versus the synthetic form in the nitric oxide lozenges. So, a little caveat, if you already have low blood pressure, if you're on blood thinners, if you have kidney stones like me, this is not the supplement for you because beetroot is actually high in oxalates, and most
Yeah.
kidney stones are from oxalates. So, if you do have those conditions, it's best to not take this particular supplement because it could increase the issues that you already have.
Yeah.
Check with your
That's
doctor first, as always, right?
right.
Yeah, but that's that one. Do you know anybody that takes nitric oxide or
I
beetroot
don't.
powder?
I've heard a lot about the beetroot recently, but the nitric oxide is definitely new to
Yeah.
me. I'm very
Well,
intrigued by that.
that's why people are doing the beetroot is because it's turning into nitric oxide in their body. It's
Okay.
just a more natural way to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you said if I'm eating arugula, I can get this similar effects.
Not, I mean, similar, yes, because they're full of nitrates, which is the
Okay.
ultimate goal is what you're trying to get, these natural nitrates in your body
Hmm.
because it increases the oxygenation in your body. But if you really are low and you really need higher levels, then it's better to do the actual nitric oxide, like the lozenges, because that's a much more absorbable way to get it into your body. So yes, you're going to get low levels by eating your vegetables. Let me look really quick because I know I wrote down, I know it's somewhere. Arugula is one of them. Beets, okay, yeah, beets, arugula, celery, and spinach.
Oh, good. I eat all that, except I don't eat
All of
beets.
those high
Now,
in
how do I
they're all
know?
high in dietary nitrates, the plant-based kind, the good kind for your body.
Okay. And so poor circulation is definitely something that's very big with old people. I know a lot of us wear stockings and things like that on our
Yeah.
legs because we have our ankles. So besides like our swollen legs and ankles, are there other indications that we're having problems in that area besides our swollen legs and ankles that
Yeah,
you know of?
absolutely. I mean, that's a big one. If you have high blood pressure, you're
Okay.
probably, yeah, that's a sign
High
as
blood pressure.
well.
Okay.
Yep, high blood
Okay.
pressure. If you're getting winded doing activities like that require exertion, where you really shouldn't be getting that winded, that would be like where your exercise or your sex comes into it. Things like that, where you really should have enough oxygen, but you're just like, I just don't, like I'm
Okay.
panting when I shouldn't be. Those are all indicators that your vascular health may be compromised.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Good to
yeah.
check on that.
Okay, moving on to the next category. The next category is another big one for us mamas over 50, and that's weight management, metabolism, and muscle loss. For me, that one is near and dear to my heart, muscle
Yeah.
loss,
Yeah.
because we're
Muscle
all
loss is
losing muscle. I have
huge.
some cool stats on this one.
Oh, good.
Okay, so a couple ideas for new novel ways that you can approach these issues, weight management, metabolism, and muscle loss. So number one, it's called blood flow restriction training. Have you heard about that?
I've not. Nope.
Yeah, so this is a pretty new one. Men have been using this for a long time, but there's now new research and it's focusing on women using it, which I think is really cool. So listen to this statistic. So as we age, sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, it
Mhm.
becomes a really big problem. So women will lose between 1 and 2% of muscle mass per year after the age of 50, and up to
Wow.
3% of strength per year
Mm-hmm.
if they don't actively maintain their muscles and their strength. And that might seem like 1, 2%, 3%. That's not a big deal. I'm talking per year. That's a lot.
Yeah, it adds
Yeah.
up.
So it's something you really need to think about. And so what happens is because women know this, they may not know the statistics, but we all know we lose muscle mass as we age. Women will start to heavily exercise, especially lifting heavy weights, because they think, well, I'm losing my muscle mass. I need to lift heavy weights. But actually, this is the opposite of what you want to do because it can be really tough on your joints, on your tendons. It can make you more prone to injury. So there are some big name hospitals doing research on this right now. And so the place that I looked at was the Cleveland Clinic because they're a big, research facility. And I
Yeah.
love how they talk about this blood flow restriction training. So it's basically like a way to exercise. And they talk about how, especially women over 50, we should not be working out harder, meaning we shouldn't be lifting these heavy weights. We should be working out smarter. So we should
Mm.
be finding ways to build muscle, to improve strength, to boost our metabolism, all while lifting lighter weights. And that's
Okay.
what's really cool. Even just body weight. It doesn't even have to be a weight, it could just be body weight. And that's where
Okay.
this blood flow restriction training comes in. So there are these bands that you put around the upper part of your arm or the upper part of your leg, and they restrict blood flow while you're exercising. And so it makes your muscles, it makes your body think that blood flow, it makes it think that you're lifting a heavier weight than you are. And so you actually get more benefit. So you could even get benefit by even just using body weight, right?
Okay.
Either low weight or body weight. And this is something I guess that guys have been doing for a long time. If you go looking for these bands online, you're apt to see pictures of guys using them because it's really a novel approach for women. But now more women, as we know that we really need to have increased muscle mass as much as we can as we age, more women are flocking to this kind of thing. And I mean, I'm really big into strength training. I've been doing that for a few years now, and I
Mm-hmm.
haven't tried this, but this is something that I would try. I think it sounds really cool.
That does sound really cool. I've always heard of resistance training, but and how effective that is, but I've never heard of it where you can actually buy things to decrease your blood flow to do that. Like,
There
wow.
are over 500 published studies
Hmm.
all on the benefits of blood flow resistance training. So
Okay, so
this
we're
is
gonna
something
hear.
that's well studied.
I think we're gonna start hearing about it more then, huh?
Yep, for
Okay.
sure. For
All right.
sure, especially
Cutting
for
edge. You're
especially
getting
for
your
women.
cutting edge stuff right here with
I
Karyn
know, I know. That's why I love this because this is stuff that you're just not hearing about.
and
Again, like this is probably a pretty easy one to implement, but if you already have high blood pressure or you know you're susceptible to blood clots, things like that, those would be the people who probably should stay away from this because you don't want to be restricting the blood flow, right? So,
right.
yeah, people with issues like that don't want to try this one, but I think most everybody could just try this because I mean, there's
Yeah.
not really a lot of problems associated with it, and you don't even have to lift heavy weights.
It
You could
doesn't
get
seem like
away
it would
with
be that expensive either to buy bands, like because
they're not that
it's
expensive.
rubber.
This
Yeah.
is something you should buy on Amazon. This is
Okay.
something to get on Amazon for sure. I've seen tons of them there, and they're not expensive because it's literally just a band with
Okay.
Velcro. Super, super cheap.
Okay.
Now, one other thing I want to mention, because this is really big with women right now, is protein. And
Yeah.
so I'm getting all kinds of messages, like it's almost on the daily,
Yeah.
where, because people know this is what I do for a living. So, like, what's the deal with protein, Karyn? Can you tell me about
Mhm.
protein powders? Can you tell me about how much protein I should be having? Because if you look around the internet, if you look around social media, that's the big push right now. It's nobody's getting enough protein, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that there's a lot of misinformation out about this. And there's this new approach to eating protein, which I think is a lot healthier, and it's called protein cycling.
Okay.
Did you do
Ooh,
this?
no. I
No,
want to know.
okay. So,
I'm very weak on my protein.
yeah, most women are trying to get added protein. In fact, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are not even, well, first of all, they might be relying too much on protein powders. It's really important to get the majority of your protein in the food you eat, not the powders, because it's not the same. It's not equivalent.
Right.
And then
Right.
also, they're actually getting too much because they're getting bombarded with, you're not eating enough protein, you're not eating enough protein. And so
Mhm.
they're eating like copious amounts of protein every day
Yeah.
instead of having these days where you do high levels of protein and then low levels of protein, which is what protein cycling is. So, what would this look like for you? It would be like, let's take a typical week. 3 to 4 days of that week, you're going to do a high protein intake. So that might be something like 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So think of it like 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal. That's kind of what the equivalent is. And you would do that 3 to 4 days a week, especially on days when you strength train, when you work out, days when you're going to need that extra protein. And then on your down days, you're actually going to do a much lower level of protein. So that would be like zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So you kind of rotate them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
So it's a much better idea than this super
Yeah.
high protein that people are doing, which is actually really bad for you. It's actually really bad for you. Your body, your tissues don't have the time they need to repair when you don't do that. It can have an impact on your metabolism. It can actually have an impact on your anti-aging regime, your longevity. So we don't want to be having super high protein all the time. This is a much healthier way to get your protein in, this protein cycling.
Yeah, I like that. I know when I first tried to start going into a higher protein, low carb diet, I started having like low carb headaches and withdrawals and things like that too. So, um, just because I'm such a high carb person normally, so that could possibly be another side effect for
Yeah.
people who are suddenly going like all protein. So
Yeah. So there's
the
that.
protein cycling would help with that too.
I think so. I mean, I
Hmm.
tend to eat pretty high protein. So this is a whole sub conversation, which I'm only going to just touch on briefly. But if you have a chronic health issue, something like that, then you do have high protein needs. So for me, my protein cycling would look different than somebody who doesn't have a chronic health issue, because mine would go from super high to more medium, right? Where
Hmm.
somebody with normal health issues, it would go from high to low, high to low. But I know that because I have a chronic illness, because there's inflammation and immune response issues going on, my protein intake should be higher than the normal person.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I do protein powders as a supplement, but not as the main part of my protein. What
Okay.
about you? Do you do protein powder?
I do, but not often.
Yeah,
Just sometimes I'll mix it in with my coffee when I break my fast if I don't have yogurt or something on hand.
yeah,
Just because I do try to start after I break my fast, I like to start it with a protein. So I'll have it on hand for that. But otherwise, I try not to.
yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
So
Okay, another category, mood, stress, and sleep, right? These are big ones for people of
good
our
ones.
age. Mood,
Hmm.
stress, and sleep. And I
Hmm.
know I keep saying I get so excited about this, but I'm really excited about these things I'm going to tell you about. So, have you heard of L-theanine?
No.
Okay, so this is something that I do think several of our listeners are going to know about. It's something
Okay.
that a lot of my clients take. It's something that I hear about all the time, but this is using it in a different way. So
Okay.
a lot of people will take L-theanine, which is an amino acid. It's a naturally occurring amino acid. So it's part of the building blocks of protein, speaking of protein. But it's primarily found in green tea leaves. So pretty
Hmm.
cool, right? That's where it's found.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
a lot of people will take it as a sleep aid at night in higher doses. But I'm talking about a whole new way to take it, and I've never seen people do this. This is something really new. It's taking it in the morning. Taking it in the
Hmm.
morning.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it has been shown to increase alpha brainwaves.
Hmm.
So that can be cause like a state of, I know it might seem like you can't have these two things at the same time, but this particular compound can help you with this. It's like a calm alertness. So you're
Mm.
alert and you're focused and you're energized, but you're not jittery and nervous like that. A lot of times they'll kind of go together, but this is that alertness and focus, but you're still in a calm, relaxed state. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Interesting.
Yeah. So people are taking it at night in higher doses, like 200 to 400 milligrams, and they're taking it
Hmm.
in conjunction with melatonin or magnesium to help them sleep. But this is
Hmm.
taking it in the morning at a lower dose, like 100 to 200 milligrams. And that's what's helping with this mental clarity, reducing anxiety. It also, oh, it smooths caffeine jitters. So if you're the kind of person that drinks coffee in the morning and you kind of get the caffeine jitter, it can help smooth out those caffeine jitters. It creates calm without being sleepy.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of adults with ADHD would benefit from this
Okay.
because yeah, have you heard like that some people will drink coffee to actually help their ADHD?
Yeah, because it's a
Because it's a
stimulant.
stimulant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
there have been some really cool studies pairing L-theanine with coffee, and it has shown to really boost the effectiveness. So if you're one of those people that's just like, you have brain fog or you go from thought to thought, or you really feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, I am an adult with ADHD. I totally have it. And maybe it's been undiagnosed, but I just can't keep a thought in my head. Like this could
Hmm.
actually be really good for you. It's
Okay.
weird that I'm saying drink caffeine, but it could be
Mm.
caffeine in tea. It doesn't have to be caffeine in coffee.
Yeah.
But just the two of them together has been shown to boost the effects of the L-theanine.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense because you could, if you drink coffee with any, supplement, it's probably going to get into your system more quickly too.
Yeah, and this is like particularly the caffeine. So it doesn't have to be coffee. You could do tea, you could do any kind of caffeinated beverage, but this is
Yeah.
particularly it has this synergistic quality of the two of them together. Just like at nighttime when you take it with another sleep aid like magnesium or melatonin, it gives you a better sleep. In the morning, if you take it with your caffeine, your coffee, or your tea, it will give you that relaxed alertness that so many people crave because so often there's negatives with it, but this is no negatives. This is alertness without the jitteriness. So
Hmm.
pretty cool. You can take this one in capsule form, you can take it in powder form, you can take it in lozenge. And if you've heard of those, like what I call really like the best supplement brands, I think all of them have their own version of L-theanine. So that would be like your Pure Encapsulations, Thorne Research. I really like Now brand. Jarrow is another good one. So look for those particular companies. I should have
Hmm.
mentioned this earlier, actually, but I have my own supplement storefront online through Fullscript, so I can also get those for people. If anybody's listening and saying, "Hey, I would like to get some of these supplements," I didn't think about that before, but I
Oh,
actually
cool.
have my own supplement, and I counter online, and it's a big discount, so you can get supplements that are really high quality for a reduced cost. I do everything at cost. I don't make money on it. I just do it at cost for people. So
Uh-huh.
they're a lot cheaper than getting them from other sources. Let me think about this. I think if you go to I want to be right if I'm going to say this, but I think it's right. KarynHaley.com/supplements. KarynHaley.com/supplements. You could get on that. And Karen is with a Y, Karyn. So just a little bit, not a plug for full script, but just a way to get your supplements at a reduced cost. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that L-theanine is found in green tea. So if you're like feeling like I only want to take a supplement, you can still get it by just drinking green tea.
Oh, that's good to know.
Much
Okay.
lower amounts. So like in a cup, you're
Okay.
gonna have like 5-10 milligrams versus your, 100 to 400 milligrams. So it's much lower, but if you want to, it's a way to start out, I think.
Does it happen to, do you know if it's in matcha?
Yeah, because matcha is a green tea thing, right?
Yeah, matcha's like super trendy right now
Yeah.
for like a powerhouse. Um, It's like one of
But
the
isn't
latest.
matcha a derivative of green tea? Do I have that
Um,
right?
I mean, they're definitely both green teas, and you're right, matcha. And then there's a lot about the matcha that you get. It has to be certified, and it's like a little bit higher level green tea, I believe. So it
Mm-hmm.
makes me wonder if it has. Um,
It's just green tea powder. So that would make sense that it would be in there.
yeah, it's actually the leaves are truly ground up, but you have to be careful with the matcha that you're getting. I wish it has to be certified or something like I don't know. There's something on my can that peer researched for me and said, "Here, this is you have to have this one."
So I just
I
did a
wonder
quick
if
search. So I love to really deep dive into these things to give it like, more credence.
yeah.
But on a quick search, it says that because matcha is the green tea powder and it's so concentrated, that it
Mhm.
actually has much higher levels of L-theanine than any other kind of green tea.
So that must be why it's such a big trending health
Yeah.
thing now then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's going to give you so it's actually going to boost your productivity as well.
the Diary of a CEO guy invested in it and sells it with his name on it. I'm like, huh, must be
Interesting.
something to that if he's
Yeah.
investing in something, kind of like a Shark
Have
Tank.
you had matcha before?
Yeah, I like it. I
Yeah.
make matcha lattes sometimes more in
Yes.
the afternoon than in the
So good.
morning.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yep.
still such a coffee person in the morning. But matcha in the afternoon, I love it.
Yeah.
So, but
This
now that I know this, I'm
L-theanine,
gonna.
you
Hmm?
could have it in the afternoon as well. I mean, you could have it at night too, but this is more for like when you're working or you need to get things done around the house and you need to have that focus and you're just kind of
Yeah.
feeling distracted. This can really help with that.
I get a 3 o'clock slump. I do. I get a
Yep.
really bad 3 o'clock slump. And if I were to drink matcha instead of going for my carbs,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
listeners, I don't know if you're like me. I tend to go for my carbs when I'm
And
getting
the
a slump
carbs
in the
will give you
afternoon.
that quick energy, but then you're going to have a very quick decline.
That's exactly what
So
happens.
this is
Yeah.
much more sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you could do it in the afternoon too. I love that you mentioned that.
Well, the only reason I do is because I just don't know if I would add that to my current caffeine. I just can't get Pierre to switch away from coffee. And he makes so much that I would feel like it's a waste
Right.
to dump it down the drain. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's a whole other day. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that sounds cool. Okay, under this same category of mood and stress and sleep is again another one that's so near and dear to my heart. This is part of activating your vagus nerve. Are you familiar with the vagus nerve?
oh, I'm
Yeah.
very familiar
Okay.
with my vagus
Me
nerve.
too. I
Yes.
love it. Okay, so this is, I would say, the only technique that's on my list that is completely free.
Yeah.
Completely free. There's no money involved in it whatsoever. You can activate your vagus nerve. You can increase your vagal tone without spending any money whatsoever. And I don't, you can tell me, Pam, if you do this, but one of the absolute coolest ways to do it, in my opinion, is by humming or singing.
No, I didn't know that.
Yep, you can
It,
actually activate your vagus nerve. You can increase your vagal tone by humming or singing. So I know you are familiar. I think most people are familiar with the vagus nerve, but I'm going to just really quickly, in case you aren't. It is a nerve, and it starts at the base of your brain stem here, and it goes all the way down your spine. It has these spindles that are nerve endings that come out to different organs in your body. So your stomach and your heart and the whole digestive system. In fact, it ends in your digestive system. And the vagus nerve is the main nerve of your parasympathetic nervous system pathway. And so it's responsible for your rest, digest. So it's part of the fight or flight response, but
mhm.
it is the calming part, right? So that parasympathetic part. So the rest, digest, healing, it's known for relaxation. And as we get older, due to all the things that damage our cells, same kind of thing, chronic stress, chronic health issues, low grade inflammation that goes on for a long time, this vagus nerve connection, it gets damaged. And so the really cool thing is that with vagus nerve stimulation. There's so many things that you can do to stimulate this part of your body to make it healthier and humming, to increase that connection between your brain and your gut. And it doesn't cost anything. So it's humming, singing. It increases the same pathways like if you were to meditate or you were to do deep breathing. It works in the same way because when we stimulate our vocal cords, we actually stimulate the vagus nerve.
Oh, I like that. I think
Yeah.
that speaks volumes to people who are alone and don't have anybody to talk to, versus people who go to work each day or go on Zoom and have meetings. Because you do really, there is something to talking that
Yes.
makes people feel better. And so the people who are home alone like that, that's such a great solution. Don't put on Good Morning America. Put on your songs that you want to sing
Put
to.
on that music and you
Yeah.
know what? Let's just like bump this one up a little bit and while you're singing, go ahead and dance too. Because that's got some super
Yes.
health benefits as well. So now you're not only stimulating your vagus nerve, you're innervating your whole body, right? So I say, yeah, go for it.
Our brains want us to move.
Hmm.
They were designed to have us move and to talk. And I
Yeah.
like that, Karen. I'm gonna try
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, I love it. So it could be like chanting or humming or like full out singing, but it sounds like the kind of thing where it's just like common sense. But because it's science, there has to be research to back it up. And there actually is. There's tons of studies showing the benefit of vagus nerve activation, specifically through using singing or humming or
mhm.
chanting by like
Okay.
engaging those vocal cords. People who are a part of singing groups or maybe their church choir, they actually report lower stress, improved immune function, better emotional well-being. So like it really actually does something for you scientifically.
I totally believe that. And it also makes me think about all the young people who go to school every day and don't talk and just bury their heads in screens. The anxiety level of kids nowadays and adults is so
Yeah.
much higher. And it has to be correlated to what you're talking about, how the vagus nerve is not getting stimulated enough
Yeah.
because we're not talking or speaking or breathing.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I did not realize that I don't want to sell this short. So is it okay with you? Because I have two more categories and we've talked for a while. So is it okay with you if we do a part two for this? Because I have two more
yes.
categories I want to tell you about.
Yeah, let's do a part two. I
Is
like
that
that.
okay? Because
Yeah, that's
one
better.
of one of them is gut health. I can't leave without talking to you guys about gut health, and I'll just
Okay.
spoil it with a little spoiler alert. The other one is hormone balance, and how can we not talk about both of those? So we have to have a part two.
Yeah, you have to talk about both those and add one more for me, please. Water retention.
Water retention.
Can
Okay,
you
I'm
put
gonna
that
write
in
that
there
one
too?
down. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so I'll even add on. I love it.
That's a personal battle for me that I've had forever and ever.
Yeah.
And
Novel treatments for water retention. I love it. I'm going to do a
yeah,
little bit
I
of research on that
definitely,
because that's not something that I'm too familiar with. So let me do a little bit. I'm going to do a deep dive.
yes,
And of course, when I bring it up, there'll be research behind it.
I love it.
So yeah. All right. Fantastic. Anything you want to say to just wrap up this episode? Sorry it's so long, but I just, like I told you, I was going to get carried away and I did.
I don't think you got carried away. I found it to be very interesting. I know our listeners are going to find it to be very helpful as well. Most of us who are listening, we listen to other podcasts anyway about these sorts of things. So it's really nice to have you summarize it. And it's coming from such someone like you who we know personally, and you're very smart and you're always researching. So I like it. I'm glad you did it.
I had fun. Thank you so much. Thanks for indulging it. Yeah, so we'll do a part two, and that will be on hormone balance and gut health and water retention. So I'm excited to talk about some
Yeah.
new and novel ways that we can be treating these issues that tend to come up when we're over 50.
That sounds great. I'm going to send you a text of something that I started for hormone balance. I'm going to
All
send it
right,
to you to see
cool.
if you've heard of it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And then that way you can decide if you want to add it in or not.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sounds good. All
Okay.
right. Until we meet again.
Okay, Karen, thank you for sharing all of this with us.
Yeah,
We'll
this
see
was
you
fun.
guys later.
Talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.